See you later, Bryant. Oh my God. Well, hello there, ladies and gentlemen. Me, the Tinkerer from Spider-Man, tinkering around with my set today because I've been quite restless, quite moody, because quite simply, I've got a bit of a bad back. And as somebody suggested on my community tab yesterday, why don't I go and see a chiropractor? Makes sense, right? So I'm on the phone this morning to my doctor to see if he agrees with that opinion, because I think it's a rather great suggestion. However, I'm here today with a bit of a mishmashy video for you, one concerning Dead Rising the Remaster, which is released tomorrow on the 19th of September, and the other one is a brief overview for the Dragon Age Veilguard impressions, because from what I can see out there, nobody is impressed with this new BioWare game, and I'll get into that rather briefly. But speaking of briefs, no, I'm not even going to go there with that joke, folks. Let's just get on with today's video, because I tell you what, this camera angle is pretty sick along with the lighting. So I'm going to stay this way because quite honestly, when I stand up, my perspective is all over the place. It looks like I've got very teeny tiny shoulders and a rather large head, which I've got to say is not a flattering look.
Her voice may be almost as important to gamers as Lara's double pistols, curves and skimpy shorts.
Kung Fu Hot Dog is a Kung Fu renegade cop. Now he must defeat the most evil Kung Fu master in the world.
For a modern gaming audience.
For a new world of unspeakable adventures.
Said, Mummy, I like the way the lady runs.
Get ready for a new world of unspeakable adventures, never before shown in a motion picture. Get ready for Kung Fu Hot Dog.
Snake. Snake. Snake.
Right?
So right from the start, folks, oh my God, Shill Media is just really getting in there. They're butt hurt over the comments made by Matthew Karch from 3 days ago when he, the CEO of Saber Interactive, posted on Asmongold's channel. It's hilarious. But Brian Francis, oh my gosh, at gamerdev.com, she had the following to say: would love to know what games were imposing morals and what those morals were. Email is in my bio, because what he fails to understand is that Mr. Matthew Karch is not a game reviewer. He is a CEO. He merely offered an opinion, if it is actually him, and Smash JT offered some credible evidence that over on LinkedIn for Mr. Matthew Karch voiced similar opinions, which also appeared in Asmongold's video. But I could also argue that maybe someone wanted to impersonate Mr. Karch, borrow those comments off LinkedIn, and then stuck them in a comment section for Asmongold, which would actually add overall credibility, right? So that's my little 10 cents I want to throw in here. But it's really quite funny that he makes this example about moral values, moral impositions in a video game. Like, come on, why are video games imposing morals? Well, quite simply, as that guy Pyros has said here, what games imposed morals to make you feel bad? Oh, I don't know. Dustborn, Saints Row, Last of Us Part 2, Concord, which is everybody's favorite, Battlefield 1, Ubisoft, Activision, Pronouns, Eat the Rich, and there's much, much more. How many more? Yes, the LGBT narrative, which we never get sick and tired of, DEI, also EDI, also ESG. The list goes on and on, like Mr. Francis does, who again, I must remind you, has the he, him pronouns in his bio, because clearly when you look at his manly face, Are we questioning if that's a he or a him? But 3 months ago on LinkedIn, Bryant Francis had this to say about MK. 3 key takeaways, not Indian or Chinese, from my chat with Saber Interactive CEO Matthew Karch. 1. CEOs, they're just like us. They log onto social media and yell about bad takes. 2. Karch thought Embracer's expansion was too fast, but still believes CEO Lars Wingfors and the board did the best they could. And 3. You can be wrapped in the realities of a business and its balance sheets, but your explanations won't help developers who've had their lives upended by reckless financial decisions way above their pay grade. Of course, what Mrs. Bryant Francis is alluding to here is the fact that Embracer bought out AA Studios and eventually made them almost bankrupt. But yes, here again, Mr. Bryant Francis is talking about the fact that, hey, these remarks that Matthew Karch made on Asmongold's channel don't hold any water. And ladies and gentlemen, I've got some word of advice for Mrs. Bryant Francis. Maybe he, she, they, them should eat some more brown bread and make sure they go to the toilet every day. Because if they don't, they'll keep talking about this verbal diarrhea and exuding dried excrement from their mouths if they don't go and see their doctor. I know, the lighting's really creepy, right? It's just the way I like it for my lowdown sessions with me and Miss Jill Valentine. So at Games Radar, I spent 23 hours in Dead Rising the Deluxe Remaster. I got very nostalgic and accidentally beat someone to death with a mannequin leg. How can you beat someone accidentally if they're a zombie? You're beating them to death because they're a zombie, right? You can't do that on the non-zombie players in Dead Rising, the remake or the re-original. I'm pretty sure you can't, but I might be wrong about that one. So Dead Rising, the review, the Deluxe Remaster, has not been reviewed by IGN. Now, they might update this because the game is being released tomorrow, but normally by now they would have issued a quick re-review, right? So let's have a quick look. I wonder, it can't be that same dude again who refused to review Lollipop Chainsaw. Surely it can't be that guy. Let's just do a quick refresh and see if anything's changed. Nothing has changed. Let's just go to search. Let's do Dead Rising and see who reviewed it originally back in the day. 2006, who reviewed it back then? Charles Onyet. I guess he's no longer working for the outlet, so that's pretty fair enough, I guess. But I'm just going to switch on over, folks. I did say to you this is a mishmash video today. So Dragon Age Origins, is it still worth playing in 2024? And just to draw your attention, folks, to the animations here.
Origin, Rendon Howe from the Human Noble Origin, and Shiani from the City Elf Origin. The amount of effort that BioWare put into making the origin stories feel truly unique is staggering. You just don't see this kind of thing in video games anymore, sadly, and it's one of the many reasons why Origins is a fan favorite even to this day. I only wish I could say the same about the game's combat. I'm gonna let you in on a little secret. I don't really like the combat in Dragon Age Origins. I was discussing this game with a friend earlier this week.
So this is Big Dan Gaming. I think he's hilarious, actually. I actually think he's a rather based dude, because while he doesn't actually bring political elements into his game reviews, you can actually see he doesn't like the new stuff being churned out by modern day gaming development companies. He kind of keeps it just under the radar where he's concerned. And it's interesting because the common complaint, look, I've not played the Dragon Age games. I was kind of curious a couple of years ago, but the combat and the characterizations did put me off. But what people have been telling me, what I've been seeing on other outlet on the hemisphere, shall we say.
And look for clues in the environment to follow. In this case, the crow's purple symbol painted on certain walls.
I mean, this is the IGN review or their on-hand impressions for Dragon Age Veilguard, and this happy-go-lucky drone-like IGN presenter is like, well, I spent so much time, I was absolutely relieved to see this game is really meeting my expectations. It's BioWare. They want BioWare to be successful again after the god-awful Mass Effect Andromeda. God, who could forget that? My face is tired. It is, looking at this so-called exclusive hands-on preview. I mean, what IGN's description is hilarious. After hours of my hands-on time with Dragon Age the Veilguard, we're pleased to say we walked away with excrement and curiosity, mostly relief to wave many of our concerns goodbye, because like soft cell, say hello, wave goodbye. Check out our first impressions of BioWare's brand new, often delayed RPG. Yeah, and look at that, the ratio is awful, isn't it? 11,000 upvotes, 18,000 downvotes. So again, with Dead Rising, the Deluxe Remaster, it looks better and plays better than ever. Oh my gosh, yet they refuse to give it a brand new coat of paint with a review. But ACG Gaming, aka Jeremy Penter, I do like this guy. He's pretty based, he's not sponsored, and he just tells you the game, warts and all, what it's like. So he published this, I think it was 18 hours ago, right? And he's not a big fan of this. I'll let you hear what he's got to say for himself.
On a 4090, and it also has frame gen, which pushes it well above 150. There is a wicked bug I had though, and that's if I had frame gen on and then tried to turn it off, the game crashed instantly every time, every single time.
That's your warning.
Sort of the opposite of frame gen. So instead of getting more, I was just getting 0.
Oh
and
boy.
The only way to fix this was to go to a save game that had it off already. So if you are testing this game on your system, I would say do not turn frame gen on until you're happy with the way it looks. And then if you do, be aware this might continue. This was tested on multiple drivers on the NVIDIA side, and none of them seem to fix it. However, there are some things that just continue to crop up.
I gotta say, Jessica McCartney, the Homeland agent with a rather big booty and a lovely chest, does look good in the remaster. What a shame Capcom decided not to do a full-blown remake. Of course, if they did, you know they would remove the problematic erotica photography, the commie remark made by the veteran of Vietnam, and other problematic things like race swapping Harry or Larry Fong for a white dude, not making him Asian as he was in the 2006 original. But here we go.
Up from the old game that I would have still liked to have seen changed
Ooh,
here. For
hello.
example, Frank moves like he has a donkey-sized shit on deck. The biggest issue is when you take on the bosses, for instance, and the psychos, it's always less of an issue of utilizing their strategies against them as it is just making sure that the game's cumbersome combat doesn't get in the way. For a guy this burly, looks like he lives in a world where his state bird was mac and cheese. And it feels old at those times. Even the boss battles, many of which has you fighting enemies who sometimes are on vehicles, they'll smash into rocks and trees and zombies and get caught on metal ramps. I get the idea of a remaster, and I know it wasn't going to make those vast.
So Isabella, stuck in limbo on her motorcycle, probably a Harley Davidson ripoff on the Wild Goose sign, and isn't moving anywhere. This is a remaster. They expect you, Capcom, to shell out $49 or whatever the going price is in the UK for this lazy, sloppy remake of a classic that people do love, and they've done nothing to innovate this game design. It's a quick cash grab from Capcom. It's such a shame from a company that was getting so much respect a few years ago with the RE4 remake, RE2, RE3 definitely had its problems. Jill Valentine looked absolutely lovely in that game, and I guess she was the catalyst for the final design of her for RE Death Island, which obviously I absolutely love. But my goodness me, I mean, This should be a warning sign, folks. I don't see many people queuing up for this game to buy it. I think it's going to be a bit of a flop for Capcom, and they should have just remade the game. You know, remake it, eliminate the issues you had with the original. People might not be happy with it still, but there you have it, folks. I mean, what more can I say on that one? It's not looking good for BioWare. I was hoping they might have a win with Veilguard, but again, I'm not an expert at Dragon Age, and people have said to me the previous entries were darker, the Quinari looked better, but now their foreheads have been bent out of shape. They look like a bad version of Legend, that movie with Tom Cruise and Tim Curry. What a shame, but there you have it, folks. The state of gaming is, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. But apparently activists are going in and trying to tinker with things that don't actually need tinkering with, which is why Matthew Karch, the CEO at Saber Interactive, who by the way have not actually commented on whether his comments on that Asmongold video were actually from him, and I think that's actually the best approach. Leave it as a mystery box. I don't think Saber Interactive have to come out there and issue a statement to say, oh yes, it was actually our boss who was a bit off his head with a few drinks. No, don't say anything. Leave it as a mystery, because people are just going to lose their minds. Which again, you know, Space Marine 2 in the 40k Warhammer universe, untouched, untethered by the way from Games Workshop, has no microtransactions. Everything is what you see. And yes, some people are saying that at $60 or maybe £60, it's a bit too much. I'll probably end up picking it up at full price, because I do want to support Saber Interactive. I think they're a good bunch of guys so far. You got pedigree like Tim Willits, who obviously worked on id Tech, worked on Rage, Doom 2016, my favorite iteration of that franchise. And obviously you got Matthew Karch, who loves to strum his guitar in his spare time. So obviously that guy gets my big, massive vote of approval. But of course, we have that other Sweet Baby Inc. game coming out, or the pre-sales, Unknown 9, which is just nobody's interested. Even outlets, even gaming outlets out there, like the hardcore people that sell the games, they're claiming that there's no real pre-sales boost for these up-and-coming titles. Is going to spell disaster, because again, gaming used to be great a few years ago, folks, even in the mid-noughties, which I'd probably say is the golden age of gaming. Yeah, everybody's waiting for the old school stuff to come out again. Why doesn't video gaming take that cue and just not change the formula? Just remove the silly activists and the wokey dokies with their silly pronouns. Let them go and form their own gaming divisions out there. Bring out your woke video games and see how many people will flock to those like a bunch of seagulls and play your cuckoo games. I can tell you what the answer is already: nobody. And on that one, if you were me and if I were you, and if you might be feeling blue, this video might cheer you up a little bit, you may wish to return for the next episode. It's a heartache, it's a shame, it's a fool's game.
Jason King on Kung Fu Hot Dog. Your face, your ass, what's the difference?